The lack of bathing. Kings who never bathed. Bathing, for much of history, was considered a dangerous practice. While commoners lived in unsanitary conditions, you would expect royal figures to have access to the best bathhouses and personal care. However, for many centuries, royal men were notorious for avoiding water, believing that frequent bathing could weaken the body or cause illnesses. One of the most well-known royal figures who practiced this hygiene neglect was King Louis XIV of France, famously known as the Sun King. Despite his extravagant court, opulent lifestyle, and grand palace of Versailles, Louis XIV rarely bathed. Historical accounts suggest that he bathed only once in his entire life, at the age of 60. Instead of daily baths, the king relied on perfumes and scented powders to mask his body odor. His advisors and courtiers often had to endure his strong scent, as the idea of bathing was thought to open the body's pores to illnesses. Similarly, King Henry VIII of England, often regarded as one of the most powerful monarchs in British history, was notorious for his poor hygiene habits. Like many royals of his time, Henry believed in the harmful effects of water on the body. His personal cleanliness was an afterthought, and he reportedly bathed only a few times in his life. Even when he did bathe, his baths were often made of oils and scented waters, meant to cover the smell of his unwashed body. His excessive weight and the increasingly unhealthy lifestyle further contributed to his hygiene problems, with reports of his growing body odor becoming a source of discomfort to those around him. These examples were not isolated. Throughout Europe, kings and emperors believed that regular bathing could harm the body, and so their personal hygiene practices were severely neglected. A lack of clean water and access to proper bathing facilities further contributed to this habit. In many cases, royal men wore the same clothing for days, and their bodies were not washed, only covered with perfumes, which led to an unfortunate accumulation of body odor. Why did royal men, with all their wealth and power, refuse to bathe regularly, despite the obvious health benefits? Was it ignorance, superstition, or simply a lack of concern for personal hygiene? What do you think? Could their refusal to bathe be linked to a deeper belief in power or superstition, or were they simply victims of the era's limited medical knowledge? Share your thoughts in the comments. Dangerous grooming practices, royal men's risky haircuts and shaving. While we may think of grooming as a necessary part of personal hygiene today, royal men in history often relied on dangerous and unsanitary methods for their grooming needs. From beards and haircuts to shaving, many royal men subjected themselves to painful and hazardous procedures in the name of fashion and beauty. One of the most alarming grooming practices was the use of unclean razors and blades. King Charles II of England was notorious for his grooming rituals, which included the use of dull and unsterilized razors. During the 17th century, there was no concept of sterilization, and blades were reused without cleaning or sharpening, which increased the risk of infections. A simple cut during a royal shave could lead to serious blood infections. In fact, historical records suggest that many royal men suffered from scarring, boils, and infected wounds due to poor grooming tools. Shaving and beard grooming were so integral to royal appearance that it was considered a key aspect of masculinity. However, the constant handling of sharp, unsanitary razors resulted in more harm than good. Kings like Peter the Great of Russia and even Napoleon Bonaparte were known to have had grooming issues caused by the use of unhygienic grooming tools. Napoleon, in particular, had a notable obsession with his appearance, but his facial shaving routine led to frequent irritation and injury. Additionally, royal men often had long hair, which, though considered a symbol of strength and status, was not always maintained with cleanliness in mind. Long, thick hair could harbor lice and other parasites, leading to discomfort and health issues. The idea of regularly washing or treating long hair with oils and balms was not widespread during these times, leading to further hygiene problems. Why did royal men risk their health and safety for grooming rituals that were far from hygienic? Were they simply unaware of the dangers, or did they believe their status made them immune to the effects of poor hygiene? Do you think modern grooming trends are any safer, or do we still risk similar health issues with improper grooming? Share your thoughts in the comments. Unclean clothing in the royal wardrobe. In the courts of royal men, the notion of personal hygiene extended only as far as appearances. Royal clothing was a reflection of wealth and status, but underneath the luxurious fabrics, many kings and princes wore clothing that was not properly washed. While these garments were often made from fine silks and velvets, they weren't regularly cleaned, and some royals were known to wear the same clothes for extended periods, leading to unsanitary conditions. One of the most famous examples comes from the court of King Louis XIV, who was known for his extravagant wardrobe. While his clothes were lavish and often made of the finest materials, they were not washed frequently. His servants, tasked with keeping him in pristine condition, did not have the proper means to wash his clothes regularly. Instead, they would use perfumed water and powders to freshen up his garments, masking the natural buildup of oils, dirt, and sweat. The clothing, often too elaborate to wash easily, became a breeding ground for bacteria and unpleasant odors. King Henry VIII's clothing was another example of this royal oversight. As his health declined, he became less concerned with the cleanliness of his wardrobe. Henry, who had grown increasingly obese, wore heavy, ornate garments that were difficult to maintain. His clothing, once a symbol of his power and grandeur, became stained and soiled over time. Reports from the court describe how the king's clothing, particularly his undergarments, were rarely cleaned, contributing to a less than pleasant odor. Similarly, the royal courts of many other European nations saw similar trends, with clothing worn multiple times before being cleaned. The idea of regularly washing garments was not widely practiced, and royal men, often too focused on their political power and public appearances, neglected to maintain proper hygiene. Why did royal men continue to wear soiled clothing despite having access to the finest resources? Was it simply a lack of concern, or were there deeper societal norms at play? Do you think the desire to maintain appearances has caused similar hygiene issues in modern times? Share your thoughts in the comments. Poor dental hygiene. Royal men's troubling teeth. Another shocking aspect of hygiene practices among royal men was their poor dental care. While royal status meant they could afford the best food, drink, and entertainment, it didn't mean they had access to modern dental practices. In fact, many royal men throughout history suffered from decayed teeth, bad breath, and gum disease due to a lack of proper oral hygiene. King Henry VIII, notorious for his obsession with food and drink, had some of the worst dental health of any English monarch. He was known to suffer from severe tooth decay and had many teeth removed throughout his life. Dental care was primitive at best, and royal men like Henry relied on rudimentary tools and methods, such as using rough cloths to clean their teeth. The idea of using toothpaste, mouthwash, or even a toothbrush did not exist for them. Their diets, full of sugar and acidic drinks, contributed to rapid decay and painful dental issues. In addition to Henry VIII, other royals, including Charles V of France and Louis XV of France, also faced dental struggles. Charles V, who reigned in the 14th century, reportedly had teeth so decayed that he was unable to eat solid food toward the end of his life. Louis XV, despite his wealth, suffered from poor dental hygiene and bad breath, which became a notorious problem at court. Royal men's dental issues were often kept secret, but it's clear that many kings and emperors suffered from what we would now consider preventable dental conditions. Without proper brushing, flossing, and regular dental checkups, these royals paid the price with their health and comfort. How could royal men, with all their resources, neglect such a basic aspect of personal hygiene? Was it simply ignorance, or did the medical knowledge of the time fail to address dental care? Do you think royal figures today are more concerned with dental health, or are modern practices still influenced by neglect? Share your thoughts in the comments.